So hey everyone, welcome to the Pearl webinar on the Heartful Leader webinar series, session 2. Our topic today is resilience and its importance for a heartful leader. Now, given the unexpected stress and adversity that is caused to many people because of the pandemic, now I'm sure you'll agree with me that resilience is an important quality for everyone right now. And today, of course, businesses are encountering record levels of change and disruption than ever before. Now, developing these characteristics of resilience can be the key for leaders and their team to thrive and to emerge successfully. Whether at work or at home, I think we have to learn the skill to maintain emotional strength, courage, hope, and faith, and to somewhat get clarity to make wise decisions at the most trying times. Now, does one have to have a control of their emotions or practice self-control to be a resilient leader? I mean, if you think about it, how can you help your team to stay focused, productive, and energetic during this inevitable chaos and change if you can't handle it yourself, right? So anyway, there are many such questions in our minds going on at this moment, and we would like to get answers for all of them. And the only way to do it is stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of great discussions and conversations with Dave coming up soon. So today our speaker, Dave Grantier, he's from USA. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and is currently the Vice President of Service Delivery at Bakkt, where he leads service delivery teams in support of major financial institutions' loyalty platforms. He's been a heartfulness meditator for over 6 years, and he has seen and experienced the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual benefits of meditation firsthand by himself and in others' lives. So as a meditation trainer, he regularly conducts workshops in various organizations and platforms. And when he's not doing that, he's found playing piano, building something in his workshop, or just hanging out with his family. That is awesome, Dave. We're delighted to have you in the Pearl platform. How are you today?
Thanks. Great to be with you. Doing terrific.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. So resilience is such an important topic at this day and time. And I was talking to a friend on the other day, and I realized that it's not something or an idea that everybody is comfortable with, because to some of them, it means that you have to take more punches to be tough, and then you have to recover from them quickly enough. Now, what is quick enough, and how could what is a level up to which you can take these punches before you break down? Now, I don't know the answers to these questions, and these are just thoughts that came up. So anyway, I wanted to find out from you, what does resilience mean to you?
That's actually a very good question. I think if you were to go out and poll maybe 10 people on the street, 8 or 9 out of the 10 would say something like, a resilient person has, this amazing ability to stand up to, a huge event, like it could be a loss of a job, it could be maybe the death of a family member. Resilient people are are able to stay strong in the face of just, overwhelming adversity. And very honestly, I think that's true. Those are valid examples of resilience. But more importantly, in the workplace, most of us don't encounter the big things that often. We encounter, a lot of micro situations, punches, as you call them, day after day after day. Whether it's somebody being late with a deliverable that they promised, or whether it's your boss who has yet another unreasonable expectation from you. It's these little tiny things that just pile up over time. So usually when we think about resilience in the heartfulness, in the Heartful Leader framework, we think of being able to absorb those blows. And the way we think about resilience is our ability to not just absorb them, but to either stay centered or return to center. That's really the key that we think about.
Excellent, wonderful answer, Dave. And life, as you say, it is tough and it's funny. It just ups and downs, and it hits us at the most unexpected time. So What do you think are the qualities of a resilient person?
So if you think about a resilient person, I mentioned the idea of staying on center or returning to center. You can get caught by bad news. You can get caught in traffic. You can be late for something. An event can happen. And a person with a resilient quality won't let it deviate them from their course. If they're frustration, they can very quickly make a mental shift to a state of calm. If they're angry, they can very quickly shift, to a state of, not being angry. If they're anxious, they can also shift to a state of not being anxious. So a resilient person doesn't let those things knock him again. It's really a question of being off center.
So you're mentioning returning to the center quite a bit. Now, can you talk about what that means and what does keep us off center?
Sure. When I think about being off center, we think about people that are if you're on center, you're very calm, right? You're able to withstand anything that comes your way, almost serene. People that are off center are in a state of agitation. They're in a state of frustration, anxiety, anger, even confusion. It's hard to think clearly when you're upset, for example. So things that keep us off center, in the Heartful Leader framework, really it kind of boils down to two. One of the things that we look at, of course, is stress. And the other thing that we look at is, it's our beliefs, it's our desires, it's the things that are important to us. And, at the end of the day, as meditators, we think about beliefs and desires really as attachments. I'm attached to some outcome. I'm attached to some greater thing that I want. And when I don't get it, I become upset, right? So when we focus on those two, what we find is that returning to center becomes much easier, rather than do it, through the force of will and your, like a behavior that you learn. If we get our inner state calmed, it becomes a natural thing as opposed to something that we have to force. And we do that through heartful practices.
That's right. Perfect. So resilience is something that can be built then, right? I mean, that's what I'm understanding from what you're saying. So what are the best ways to build resilience, or ways to manage and strengthen resilience in oneself?
So one of the techniques that we teach and use in the Heartful Leader program, it's a daily practice of meditation. Science has shown, and I'm a scientist by training, that people who meditate, actually have smaller amygdala, in their brain, and they have actually more enhanced cerebral cortex. So they're able to think better, and they're able to react with stress hormones a lot less. And by managing the stress component, you can actually, almost without working at it, become more resilient, which is the way I like to approach it. And we think about stress, there's really kind of three levels, at least that's how I look at it, and that's how we talk about it. The first level is maybe no stress, right? Indolence, there's nothing to do. And what we found is that's paradoxically a very stressful place to be. The second level is the good stress, I need to get up every day, I have people that depend on me, maybe my pets depend on me, I've got groceries to go get, I've got a job to go to. That's good stress. That moves us forward. That propels us to grow and to change and learn. And too much of that can get us into a chronic stress where we are, again, feeling very bad. And being in either of those states, the chronic stress or the zero stress, it's a very bad place to be. And that keeps us off center. We're anxious when we have nothing to do. We don't know what to expect. We don't know how to plan. When we're in a state of constant chronic stress, again, we're anxious. We're, if one more thing comes my way, I'm just gonna, storm out of here or lash out at somebody or something. And what we find is that when you practice meditation on a daily basis, we can broaden that area in the middle of the good stress. So you don't mind being, quiet, and you don't mind when the stress gets higher and higher because, again, the amygdala in your brain is not overreacting.
That's an excellent tip, actually. When I was listening to or reading something, I got to know that you refer to Daniel Goleman, author of the best-selling book, Emotional Intelligence, as an interest of yours. Now, of course, he discusses both emotional and social intelligence. Can you talk about the role they play in our resilience in this new and changing circumstances?
Of course. So when I think about emotional intelligence, the thing that comes to me is the idea of understanding, who I am is, it's almost a self-mastery. Why am I upset? It's almost that introspective capability that we have to understand. Something happened and I'm upset. Why am I upset? And then you think about that, and that's kind of a key before you can go to the next step, which is almost applying that, outside to the world around you, and that's where the social intelligence aspect comes in. And meditation helps us look inward. It helps us look at ourselves. It helps us almost shift mentally from being at the center, our own ego, taking in all of these things. Why is it about me? To an observer of what's happening, and I can see, oh, something's happened to me. Well, it's no different than what happens to many people. It will be okay. You can take a more dispassionate, thoughtful view of how to react. And then, of course, the social intelligence lets you start to apply that to situations outside. And it's actually interesting, we have what's called mirror neurons in our brain. Psychologists and neuroscientists discovered that a few years ago. And the experiment was like this, a monkey, could learn to control, fire these neurons, like if he was going to feed himself. And then they found out that these same neurons would fire if the monkey just saw another monkey eating. It was kind of a sympathetic thing. We have that, so if I walk into a room and everyone's upset, sooner or later, I begin to feel upset, right? And the opposite is true. If I walk into a room beaming with positivity and joy, it's not long before everybody else relaxes. And by the way, if you're a leader and you want people to focus and pay attention, get them from feeling stressed and upset into a position of being relaxed and calm, and then we'll deliver.
Excellent point, Dave. In fact, that was one of my questions I had in mind as well. Now, a resilient person, of course, is very flexible, and of course, they immediately pull themselves out of the situation and take a look at the trouble or the problem from a different perspective, and think more clearly. And obviously, they'll make a good leader. Now, how is this, resilience from a leader reflected in the team?
So I like to look at it this way. If you think about, say, for example, you're working in the workplace and you're on a project that's under maybe a lot of stress, maybe a deadline that's coming up quickly. And the leader who's leading the effort comes in and storms around, it gets very upset and starts yelling at everybody. That can happen with a non-resilient leader, for example. And what usually happens then is the team they stop thinking, they stop doing what they need to do. It's very hard to think when you're under stress, and a leader yelling at you who might fire you can put a lot of people under extreme stress. Of course, the leader himself may have no idea he's doing that. He doesn't mean to, but that's still a natural behavior. People around you don't know better either, so now they're stressed. And our ability to think when we're stressed, our ability to execute without mistake when we're stressed goes down precipitously. So the real thing that a leader can do is be the calm center. There's that word again, the calm center of the storm. So when the stakes are high, when the crisis is hitting, a resilient leader can keep calm, he can keep focused, he can calm everybody down, and then start to actually block and tackle and take on whatever the crisis is.
Excellent. As you say, the word storm, the Heartful leader, the teacher, the spiritual teacher, Daji, he says, like the eye of the storm, which is the most calmest. There's chaos everywhere around. And I suppose, centering yourself could very much, we could relate to what you're saying by using that. I'm kind of automatically thinking of that. Now, these are great qualities that can be nurtured at any time, and particularly for youngsters, right? How do you think, we could do that?
So taking it to the children, I think one of the key things about taking this to the children, and I'm going to move, back into this emotional intelligence idea. Things happen to youngsters all the time, right? They skin their knee, someone says something mean to them. They don't want to do something that they really need to go do. And I think very often, we instinctively, bring the hammer down. We start thinking about our own ego and how we look as parents if our kid doesn't step up and do what he needs to do. And I think encouraging youngsters to, take a different tack, step out for a second, ask themselves how they're feeling, take a second to gather their thoughts, catch their breath. You're kind of training the person, the little person to, to be an observer of his own feelings. And when they can start to label their feelings and describe their feelings and understand why they're thinking what they're thinking, somehow they're able to say, okay, well, what should he do? What should I? And that becomes very quickly, what should I do? So over time, if you can train that in young kids, as they get older, they become in touch with their emotions. They become, and they can start to actually not become panicked or scared or overwhelmed when they need to go through, that big test or that big athletic event, or, ask that someone out, to the prom, that kind of thing.
It's wonderful, Dave. It's resilience is something that is a trait that one can develop not just when they are in a chaotic situation, right? You could just do it at any point of your life, and it is a skill that needs to be honed and developed as you're growing. So it's a great tip for parents out there who are listening to this webinar, actually. Now, coming back to the heartfulness practice and meditation and its connection with resilience, do you use other heartfulness techniques such as cleaning? Okay, does it help to maintain resilience?
Absolutely. So one of the key, maybe even a differentiator of heartfulness is the idea of cleaning. The idea that, desires, attachments, things that hold on to us, are being removed on a nightly basis. I mentioned earlier there were two components that we see as driving resilient qualities. One of them being stress and getting stress under control. The other was our beliefs, our desires, our attachments, things we want to have happen. As parents, many of us say, well, I want my kid to become a medical doctor. And I may become really upset when he says, hey, I want to be an actor. That's who I am. I want to be an actor. But no, as a parent, I've built my whole life around my belief that you should be a medical doctor. Being an actor is extremely, and what do you do with that? And that can make a person go very quickly off center, right? That's just one example, and there are thousands. But if you step back and look, it's really the parent's own belief that he imposed upon himself that is causing the distress, not the child who says, well, I want to pick a career that suits me. Cleaning has a remarkably powerful effect at blunting and removing those impressions that we have over time. It's a little bit every day. John F. Kennedy once said, the best time to build a roof is when the sun is shining. The best time to do your cleaning and your meditation is every day when there's nothing particular going on. So that when your kid does surprise you, or when life surprises you, those things that you believed that were so important suddenly aren't quite so important. You can't start meditating then and then you get the value.
Excellent. Actually, I think
that's kind of how I look at it.
No, I totally agree with you, Dave. It is a quality. It is, and cleaning is a great technique to do every day and really get ready for when, like when life just hits us unexpectedly. We'll be well prepared at that point, I think, to handle it well. And meditation is a great tool to look at things from a different perspective, really calm down, and it gives us that sense of clarity to make great decisions. So I think with that, we should just open this time for meditation with our audience. So I welcome everybody to join us at this time. So it's going to last for about 10 minutes or so. So just close your eyes and simply follow the instructions. Thank you. Now sit comfortably. And close your eyes. Now let's begin with the toes. Wiggle your toes. Now feel them relax. Relax your ankles and feet. Feel the energy from the Mother Earth entering our legs, through the ankles, moving upwards, relaxing the calf muscles, knees, thighs, and hips. Now feel how both your legs are completely relaxed. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Relax. Relax your seating area, stomach, and waist. Breathe in, breathe out, and relax. Now feel the energy in your back. From the top to the bottom, your entire back is relaxed. Breathe in, breathe out, and relax. Now relax your chest and shoulders. Feel your shoulders simply melting away. Now let the energy flow into your arms. Relaxing the upper arms, lower arms, hands, all the way to the tip of the fingers. Now feel how both your arms are completely relaxed. Now relax your neck muscles. Release any tension you may be holding there. The energy is moving upwards, relaxing the jaw, mouth, nose, cheeks, earlobes, eyes, forehead, all the way to the top of the head. Now feel how your whole body is completely relaxed. Now gently draw your attention to your heart. Imagine the source of light that's already in your heart is illuminating and pulling the attention inwards. If you have distracting thoughts, gently brush them aside and treat them as passing clouds. Gently remind yourself you're meditating and bring your attention back to the light in the heart. Stay still and quiet until you hear me say that's all. That's all. You may gently open your eyes when you feel ready to do so. So thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
It was a nice, short, and a sweet session.
Good to be here.
Any closing remarks for our audience?
I guess the only thing I'd say is what we just did just now. Do a little every day, even if it doesn't feel like it's working, it is. 5 minutes can become 10, can become 20, and it really adds up. So it's a practice.
I couldn't agree more. It's just a great practice, and it really brings about a great mental well-being, which is again a key trait for a resilient person. So yes, meditation is a great tool. It just allows us to be flexible, centered, that Dave was talking about all throughout, and helps us to bounce back and feel confident that we will, pass through tough times. So stay strong, everyone. Keep growing, stay prepared, and create your own destiny. All the very best. Take care. Thanks for joining us today. Bye for now.